So now the rest of the school year. So you've done your work before. You did everything you had to do the first day. So what do you do the rest of the school year? And that's when you inspect what you expect. So you already told them what you want, which is you explained it. Now you're going to reteach it because there's going to be moments where they forget or it was just not very clear. So you reteach your procedures, you reteach your routine, and you reinforce it. Because are there going to be kids that don't follow what you want them to do? Yes, so you have to reinforce it. So inspect what you expect is very important, because if you have a rule and you don't follow through, what are they going to think about you? What are they going to say? Yeah, she's easy. She's not going to, if I do this, she's not going to do anything about it. If I take out my phone, she's not going to do anything about it. So you have to follow through with whatever rule you make. You have to follow through. Whatever procedure you make, you have to follow through. So you have to make sure that you're following whatever you set in your plan. Okay, so that's why it says inspect what you expect. Explain, reteach, and reinforce. If I think back to my first year, I remember feeling rushed. I wanted to go because I was so into, I need to teach them this, this, and that. Slow down, it's okay. Slow down. It's going to be to your benefit, it's going to be to their benefit. Breathe, take your time, slow down. Teach them correctly the first time. That way you don't have to reteach so many times. So I know you're going to feel that sense. Just remember, it's okay, I can slow down. I was like road runner. I was just speeding through and then we're like, what? So just learn to slow down. The first year is really when you learn how to stay more, be more confident about yourself. So make sure that you introduce other procedures and routines as they come up. So we already talked about that. The first day that you have a lab, or the first day you have a test, or the first day you take them to the library, or the first, so any first that comes up, you may want to do it the day before. Explain to them, this is what we're going to do tomorrow, this is how we're going to do it. So, and then if something is not working, change it. We talked about it earlier. If it's not working for you, change it. It's okay. And just let the kids know, it's not working. You're not following it, and I'm not enforcing it, so we're going to change it. And this is how it's going to go. And it's okay. It's okay to admit that you made a mistake. It's okay to sometimes say, forgive me, that was wrong. It's okay, you're human. And they like to see that you're human, that you can accept that you made a mistake. So it's okay. If something goes wrong, change it. Stop and say, this is not working. I've had days that I'm like, what in the world is happening? And I have to just say, you know what, scratch that. Put everything away. We're going to do this instead. Or let's go outside. We're going to do this. You have, if it's not working, don't just keep moving like a train with no brakes. Mm-hmm. Change it. Okay? It's okay. You decide what happens in your classroom. Okay? Any questions?
And then you gotta be aware that a lot of the reinforcement will happen throughout the year. But if you're very, very consistent the first 9 weeks or the first few months, and you're like, staff sergeant, we are sticking to these rules, you'll see that little by little you don't need to remind them anymore, because it becomes a habit. Mm-hmm. It becomes a habit. Like my students, for example, since I have that desk right next as they come in that I have paperwork, that's the first thing they do when they come in. Oh, new work. They do that. They do that now. Yes, ma'am.
When I started teaching, they were saying, Harry Wong, who was here, by the way, a couple of Fridays ago, he's expert in classroom management, very well recognized. And he said the first week of school is the most important week of classes. And I thought, no, that's not true. I didn't believe it. I didn't think, I was not into that. I said, no, there's other days more important of the year. But when it comes to classroom management, it is the most important time of the year, because that's when you set the ground rules and you start immediately enforcing. If you don't bring your homework, I'm going to call your parents. And do it. You collect homework, 2 people didn't do it, call their parents. And then the next day, okay, I had to call 2 students, I had to call 2 parents, and so they're not gonna, the other kids are listening, and they're not gonna want you to call their parents on the first week of school. So they know you're serious. They know you're serious. You're serious about the school, the classwork, that you're serious about this. And enforce, enforce, enforce. And by, like she says, a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks later, the kids, they know you mean business. So they leave the BS behind, they come to your class, it's business. They're gonna do, they're gonna work, they're gonna listen, or else. And you do it nicely, but you enforce. So it is the very first week of school, those rules, those procedures. If you get anything else done, get that done.
This is assertiveness, not like mean. You're not being mean, you're being assertive.
Yes.
So that's one thing. And 2, I wish it was only 2. But for the first assignment, especially high school, middle school kids, you're gonna have 50, okay? Truth be,
Yes.
truth be, okay? You're gonna have 50 calls, all right? I mean, that's the truth, because they're gonna test you. And they even do this, don't do the work, that way she'll keep studying. I have heard them say it. I have heard them say it.
Do you take off points?
Oh, yes, that's one of my, per day, yeah.
And like Veronica was saying, if you do the work, and it's gonna take a lot of work, it's gonna take a lot of work on your part to make sure these things are getting done. But by a certain time, it's beautiful. It's like an orchestra.
Yes.
They do things on their own, and it flows. Like mine, they even remind me. Like for me, every single thing that they do has a page number that goes in the binder. Miss, what's the page? I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. They remind you of what the routines are, and they come in and they grab their calculators. Even when there's a sub, they come in and they do everything that you want them to do when you're there. And the subs tell you, it was beautiful. It was like, they did everything on their own. They just got the calculators, they sat down, they did their assignment, they put it on the table, they returned the calculators, and they left. And every class was the same thing. So it becomes a beautiful thing, but does it take work? A lot of work, and it takes a lot of investment in your part of making sure it happens, because as soon as you let it go, they're gonna let it go. So you have to enforce it. But like right now, oh, I'm cruising. I'm on cruise control.
Yep.
They do everything they need to do without me having to be on top of it. Is there gonna be 1 or 2 that maybe are still lagging? Yes, but now you only have to enforce on those 2. The rest of the kids are doing everything they need to do without you having to tell them on a constant basis. So it becomes a beautiful thing. It really is rewarding when you see that they do everything they need to do.
Yeah. Another thing, like the tardy log, I have a tardy log. So if you're late, you need to sign in the tardy log, because our school has a policy that for every 3 tardies, you get lunch detention. Okay? So they're like, Miss, so-and-so came in late, she didn't sign in the tardy log. Like, they'll do it. It's like, dude, you're supposed to sign the tardy log. And, you know, they even start helping you as a group reinforce those rules once you've done it long enough. And another thing, as far as this, it's a lot of work. Guys, this is not, and I emphasize this is not an 8 to 3 job. Okay, people are like, oh, that's so good that you're a teacher. You get, no, You wanna be a good teacher? You wanna be an effective teacher? You wanna be a great teacher? You're gonna put some serious hours. That summer that we get off, ladies and gentlemen, that is break from all the extra hours. If you put in all the extra hours that you put in throughout the year, you work the summer, honey. Okay? You work that summer. That's the reality of it. If you really want to be a good teacher, if you want to be a teacher, okay, bye, see you at 4. You're up at 4. You want to be a good teacher? You're going to be there. You're going to be there tutoring, you're going to be creating lesson plans, you're going to be restructuring, this didn't work, let's do something else, you're going to be doing tutoring, you're going to be doing extra stuff, yeah. So if you're not willing to work more hours, because this is not an 8 to 3 job, this takes work and effort.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a bit of an unrelated question.
Yes.
How do you usually dress, like, when you go to, like that?
And it's actually in your booklet, well, this one. There's more information that we're not going to talk about, but we thought that you need, and it says about how you should dress, how you should act, all those things. So just go through it on your own time. But that is also very important, the impression that you make on your students. That's one of the things that you should be very aware of. And going back to Veronica, what Veronica was saying, it's very true. Especially at the beginning, your first, second, third year, you're gonna put a lot more hours. Once you get the hang of it, yes, you're gonna have some days that you can go home early, meaning when the school ends. And by early, I don't mean, oh, I'm done at 2. No, early means with the kids. And some days that you're gonna have to stay because you have to make copies, or because you have to change the lesson because last year it was a total mess or something. But yes, you're gonna have to put in the work. That's just a given. But again, if you do a lot of this before even school begins, then you don't have to focus on this. You can focus on making good lessons, making fun lessons for the students. And you were mentioning, right, earlier, you can be a great, I'm sorry?
What do you do during the summer?
You prepare.
Yes, you prepare. Yes, yes. Well, I actually start preparing for the next year this year. I already started thinking about, because I'm teaching it, and then something that doesn't really work, and I make myself a note. This, I like the lesson, but I'm gonna change this. So I'm already planning for the next year. But in the summer, like, I put it all together, I make it nice, I can polish it, I guess. But I was gonna say that you could be a genius in terms of your content. You could be a math genius, a science genius, social studies, you know everything. If you don't have control of your classroom, you're not gonna be an effective teacher, period. You are gonna be one of those teachers that are writing and talking, and the entire class is doing something else. So why even bother if the entire class is not even paying attention? Do you want something like that? No, you want your kids to be as excited as you are about math or science or whatever it is you're teaching, right? So you have to get this done. You have to. And your first year, I think, is the year that you find yourself, you determine what kind of teacher you are, because what works for her might not work for me. So that's when you really determine, okay, this worked for me, I like it, and this didn't. So it's really a trial and error. You try a lot of things and then you move on. So that's our advice.
And don't take it so hard if it doesn't work. You had this great, grandiose idea and it didn't work. Okay, it didn't work.
Move on.
Next, move on.
Move on, and it's gonna happen a lot.
And don't compare.
Yes.
Don't compare yourself. Do not compare yourself to others. Ever, ever, ever,
Yes.
ever. You're a whole different person. You're gonna teach different.
Yeah, you don't have the same type of
Personality?
kids.
Exactly.
The grouping is different.
Mhm.
It's just, you can't compare yourself to anyone else. You just can't. Just do the best that you can for you and for your group of students. That's all you can do. Okay?